album sales are down. How do brands use sites like VEVO to get out there? And are we kind of moving into a new age of, I suppose, access all areas?
Well, VEVO by its very nature has been set up as a mass aggregation point to reach a broad audience, and it's doing that. It's as I've mentioned to you, reaching over 200 million streams a month, and around 22 million unique visitors. So by that very nature, it's reaching large audiences, and those audiences can be monetised through a number of different ways. So pre-roll, display advertising, that kind of thing. So that's one major way of how we're delivering value back to labels and artists. It's also acting as a fantastic promotional tool. So I suppose in some respects VEVO will be creating a halo effect for those artists for other associated revenue streams, be it live concerts, merchandising, and to some extent even feeding further down the train to actual brand endorsements. So advertisers recognising the value of a certain artist because of the buzz around that artist, then they'll tap into that artist and use that artist's collateral to promote their brands.
Yeah, I mean, for years we've had things like MTV kind of ruling the video roost. Do bands still make money off videos?
Well, videos were never created to make money. Videos were created as a promotional tool, and that model has now changed as a result of the fact that the music industry has been under incredible stress. So I would turn that on its head and say actually bands and artists are now making money out of music videos because VEVO as a platform has been created, and they can control that IP now. We control that IP for them, and we sell advertising against it. I think artists are being much more cleverer about how they produce their videos these days, who they work with on creating their videos, and there's more innovation around music videos than ever was before. Also, they're much cheaper to create than ever before.
Yeah.
So most artists aren't spending $1 million, apart from Lady Gaga probably, on a music video anymore. So they're much more cost effective than ever would be.
And I suppose we can't really have you in the room and not ask you about Justin Bieber. I mean, VEVO have delivered something amazing, like 500 million views on any given song of his.
Yeah.
That's absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, and indicative of the audience and the stickiness of someone like Justin Bieber that resonates both to mums and their kids. I think that's one thing. But the fact is that there is a very there's a young, very engaged audience that like his stuff at the end of the day, and the US is a very big market as well as other territories, but the US drives it. So that's what happens, and it goes when things go viral and you get links on Twitter or Facebook. Then it just escalates into huge, ridiculous volumes of.
And
audience.
As a final one, do you now find that bands are kind of saying, actually, with sites like VEVO, with applications like Spotify, we kind of need to think a bit differently as to how not just we produce a video, but also the exposure we give ourselves to our fans and how we go about doing content? I mean, they kind of calling you up and saying, you know what, we want to make a program with you.
They are. Some are, some aren't, if I'm being honest. It depends on who you talk to, and the various and the different life stages of a particular artist. So artists such as Plan B or Jessie J or Tiny Temper are very engaged commercially because they're realising the value of not only brand association but social media and digital media. There are other bands that just don't get it at all and aren't interested and push back. But I would say they're falling into a much smaller camp now. And when you start seeing some of the successes that artists are getting, I talk about this halo effect, but you have a brand association that leads to other things, or you have a a successful video on VEVO that leads to other things, you know. So the buzz is going around the industry. It's not a huge industry anyway, and they're all talking to each other and they're all realising the value that digital, the brand association, that all of these things bring. And I think we are relatively at the very beginning of this. You know, this has been something that's really only emerged in the last couple of years. I would say artists weren't really engaging with digital in any real meaningful ways 2 years ago, and they probably weren't really engaging with brands in any real meaningful ways because it was felt like it wasn't the thing to do. And I think the tables have turned, and I think digital media has had a major part to play in that change.
There's quite an interesting slip of the tongue you made, which was you kind of referred to a band as a brand. Do you think that's kind of what digital has now made happen?
I think that's exactly how it should be. How that a lot of artists want to be referred to. They are a brand. It is their brand. So I talk about the association, but the association has to be right with brands. They have to fit. It has to draw relevance. It has to be right for the audience. You know, the relationship has to be a happy one. But you know, bands to break through, it is so difficult these days. You know, the music industry has shrunk significantly. There are not huge marketing budgets anymore to be spent on, you know, a repertoire of, you know, 36 bands that sit on a label at, you know, Universal or Sony. It's just not happening anymore. So, you know, the clever guys that are coming through the ranks, you know, have to think about how they position themselves in the market, you know, who their target audience is, you know, what they should be doing on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think they are thinking like that.
Glorious. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.